The text came in just as I was finalizing plans for the community center's Thanksgiving dinner. We're spending the holiday at Amanda's this year. After everything that happened at the summer barbecue, we think it's best you skip this one. We just want a peaceful holiday. My mother's words lit up my screen like a neon sign flashing. You're not welcome. I'm Catherine Mitchell, 34 years old, and for the first time in my life, I've been officially uninvited from Thanksgiving. The summer barbecue incident, my mother referenced. That was when I called out my sister Amanda for lying. She'd been using my late husband's life insurance money to fund her lifestyle blog. Apparently, in my family, calling out theft is worse than the theft itself. Perfect, I typed, fingers steady despite the storm in my chest. Hope you all enjoy your peaceful holiday. Her reply came instantly. Don't be like that, Catherine. You know how sensitive your sister is about money right now. I put the phone down and glanced around the kitchen, still covered in grocery lists and recipe cards I'd laid out to prep dishes for our family dinner. Traditions I'd held on to, even after losing James 2 years ago. Amanda hadn't just taken his money. She'd stolen my last real tie to those memories. Just as I was about to sink into self-pity, Michael, the community center director, called. Catherine, please tell me you're still heading up the Thanksgiving dinner. We've got double the sign-ups this year. I glanced back at the text, then at the list. Actually, Michael, I think I can do even more than coordinate. I'm completely free that day. Really? That's incredible. The kids from the youth program were hoping you'd be there. They love your stories. For the first time that morning I smiled. Since James passed, the community center had been my refuge, a place where I could turn grief into something useful. While Amanda posted curated photos and fake wisdom online, paid for with money meant for our future, I built something real, something that mattered. That evening my phone buzzed again, this time my dad. Princess, your mother told me about the text. Don't you think you're being a little stubborn? Amanda's going through a lot right now. Is she, Dad? Is running a lifestyle blog and wearing designer shoes with my husband's death benefit going through a lot? That's not fair. She's trying to build a career. No, what's not fair is pretending what she did was okay. What's not fair is uninviting me because I won't play along. We're not uninviting you, he said with a sigh. We just want to avoid another confrontation. By explicitly telling me not to come. Interesting definition of not uninviting, Dad. After I hung up, I threw myself into the community center's Thanksgiving plans. If my family wanted to crown Amanda as the victim, they could have her. I had something better to focus on. Over the next few days, texts rolled in from relatives. Aunt Susan, can't you just apologize to keep the peace? Cousin Beth, Amanda's really hurt you called her out like that. Grandma, family should forgive each other, dear. Not one of them asked what actually happened. Not one questioned why Amanda had access to James' insurance. The pattern was painfully familiar. Amanda does something awful, everyone shields her, and I become the villain for pointing it out. A week before Thanksgiving, Amanda posted a lengthy Instagram story about toxic family members and choosing peace over drama. Her followers flooded the comments with love. None of them knew that her peaceful life was funded by my grief. I channeled my anger into purpose. The community dinner evolved into a full-day event. I secured donations from local businesses, rallied volunteers, and arranged for photographers to capture it all. Michael lit up when I suggested inviting the local news. This could help so much with fundraising, he said. Are you sure you want to take on so much? I know the holidays are tough since James. I'm sure, I said, surprised by how much I meant it. It was time for new traditions. The day before Thanksgiving, my mother tried one last time. Amanda feels terrible. She's willing to talk about paying you back, if you apologize for embarrassing her. I stared at the message, feeling something I hadn't in months. Peace. 2 years of silence. Of watching Amanda live off money meant for our future. 2 years of being told to swallow my pain for the sake of family harmony. Now they wanted to negotiate. No need, I replied. I've got plans for tomorrow. Enjoy your peaceful holiday. I turned off my phone and focused on the final details. They wanted peace. Fine. Had something better. Thanksgiving morning dawned crisp and bright. While my family gathered around Amanda's perfectly set table, I arrived at the community center at 6 a.m. Volunteers were already bustling about, transforming the main hall with fall decor, burgundy tablecloths, and handmade centerpieces from the kids. The news crew will be here at noon, Michael said as he helped me organize the welcome table. They asked to speak with the coordinator who turned a small dinner into. He checked his phone, reading aloud, "A testament to the true spirit of Thanksgiving." I almost laughed. Excluded for causing drama. Yet here I was, about to speak live on air about unity and community. By 11 a.m., the place was humming. Local restaurants had dropped off hot meals, bakeries sent pies, and people showed up with arms full of homemade dishes. Children played, neighbors hugged, and for the first time in years I felt like I belonged. Not in a family that refused to see me, but in a community that did. And when the cameras rolled, I spoke with clear eyes and a steady voice. Because while they gathered in silence, I had found something louder, something lasting, something real. The rich aroma of turkey and spices filled the air, stirring memories of Thanksgivings before everything fell apart, before James died, before Amanda's betrayal, before my family decided peace was more important than truth. My phone had been off since yesterday. I didn't need to turn it on to know what I'd find. More texts about keeping the peace. More passive-aggressive posts from Amanda about choosing happiness over negative energy. I didn't need to see any of it. Right on schedule, the news crew arrived. Sarah, the reporter, lit up when she saw the bustling scene. "You coordinated all this?" she asked, eyes wide as she took in the decorated hall. "What inspired you to turn a small community dinner into something this big?" I thought about my mother's message, the one where I was uninvited for the sake of peace. I looked straight into the camera. "Sometimes when one door closes," I said, "you find a better one to open. This isn't just a dinner. It's a space where everyone is welcome, where no one gets uninvited for speaking the truth." As the interview continued, guests began to arrive. Families from the neighborhood, seniors from nearby apartments, students who couldn't travel home. Each one was greeted with open arms. The kids from the youth program beamed as they showed off their handmade centerpieces, proudly talking about the art classes we'd started last spring. Around 2 p.m. my phone buzzed in my bag. I'd turned it on to coordinate with volunteers but hadn't checked any messages. Now it wouldn't stop vibrating. Curious, I glanced at the screen. Clips from our celebration were already posted by the local news station, and my interview was trending. My family had clearly seen it. There were missed calls from my parents, texts from relatives, and a stream of frantic messages from Amanda. "How dare you make this about you? Mom's crying because of your little stunt. You're ruining everyone's Thanksgiving." I smiled and slipped my phone back into my bag. Let them watch. Let them see what they'd excluded themselves from. Let them see what their dramatic daughter had created without them. The rest of the afternoon flew by. Over 300 meals served, games for the kids, and even an impromptu talent show where local seniors told stories and sang old songs. The photographers captured every moment. Laughter, hugs, warmth, connection. "This is better than any family dinner I've ever been to," Michael said, handing out slices of pie. "No drama," I replied, loud enough for others nearby to hear. No one had to be uninvited to keep the peace. By early evening, our celebration made the local evening news. Footage showed smiling guests, happy volunteers, and a short clip of me speaking about the power of community. The reporter closed the segment by calling it a shining example of how personal loss can be transformed into communal joy. I could picture it. My family sitting stiffly in Amanda's perfectly decorated living room, their phones blowing up with calls and messages from friends who had seen the news. I imagined their peaceful holiday starting to unravel. But I didn't care. More messages poured in, not from my family, but from community members, local businesses, and even strangers. People wanted to help. Donations came through the center's website. Our social media following doubled, then tripled. Michael called me over, eyes gleaming. "Catherine, you're not going to believe this. The mayor's office just called. They want to feature our event in the city's annual holiday guide. They're asking if we'd consider making this a tradition." I thought of James, of what he would have said, seeing his life insurance money go toward building something real, something that helped others, instead of paying for Instagram filters and photo shoots. I thought of my family, who had chosen silence and image over accountability and healing. "An annual tradition sounds perfect," I said, watching volunteers pack up leftover meals to deliver to local shelters. After all, everyone deserves a place at the table. As the evening quieted down, I finally checked my phone one last time. One message stood out. It was from my grandmother. No guilt, no accusations, just a few simple words. "I saw you on TV. James would be proud. Can we talk?" My chest tightened. Of all my family, Rana Rose had been the only one to question Amanda's sudden lifestyle shift. The only one who checked on me in those dark months after James passed. And now, maybe, the first one willing to open a real door. Her message felt like a lifeline in the middle of the storm. The next morning, I drove to Grandma Rose's small house on the edge of town. She was already waiting on the porch, a photo album in her lap. "I've got something to show you," she said, patting the seat beside her. I sat down, and she opened the album to pages filled with faded photographs. Tables packed with smiling faces. Homemade food. Children playing. My grandmother serving turkey to a crowd. "Your grandfather and I started this tradition back in '75, she said. "When the mill closed, a lot of families were left with nothing. So we opened our doors, hosted Thanksgiving for all of them." The images looked eerily familiar, not unlike the celebration we had just pulled off at the community center. "I never knew about this," I said, running my fingers over a photo of her as a young woman. "No one talks about it anymore," she replied. "It doesn't fit the picture-perfect version of the holidays your mother tries to maintain. But what you did yesterday, that's real family. That's real peace." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Amanda. "Mom's a mess because of your little publicity stunt. Hope you're happy." Grandma Rose caught the glimpse of the screen and shook her head. "I've kept quiet too long," she said firmly. "Your sister took advantage of your grief. She stole from you, then made herself the victim. It's time someone besides you said something." Before I could answer, she was already dialing. She put the call on speaker. "Mom," my mother answered, her voice weary. "Margaret," Grandma said, her tone unshakable. "We need to talk. About what really happened with James's insurance money." What followed was the conversation I had been waiting to have for 2 years. Grandma laid it all out. How Amanda had convinced me to give her temporary access to the account when I was drowning in grief. How she slowly siphoned the funds to bankroll her blog and lifestyle brand. How the family ignored it all just to keep the peace. "But she's paying it back," my mother argued weakly. "Only after Catherine exposed her," Grandma snapped. "And instead of standing by your daughter, the one who lost her husband, you uninvited her from Thanksgiving to protect the one who stole from her. Tell me, how do you justify that?" Silence. Long and heavy. I need to think about this," my mother finally said. Then she hung up. Grandma Rose gave my hand a gentle squeeze. "Give it time. Truth has a way of breaking through." She was right. By Sunday, cracks started to show. My father called first. His voice was heavy with guilt. "I watched your interview again. You said something about not uninviting people for telling the truth. Princess, I'm so sorry." Then came Aunt Susan. "Those kids at the center, the ones talking about their art classes. You've built something really special, Catherine. We should have seen it sooner." Even my mother called eventually. She stumbled over her words. "Your grandmother. She made me see things differently. We were so focused on keeping things calm, we forgot what was right." Amanda, of course, had a different response. She posted a dramatic video about toxic family environments and rising above negativity. But this time, the comments weren't all in her favor. People who had seen the news footage asked questions she couldn't deflect. A week later, we hosted a planning meeting at the community center. The response was overwhelming. Local businesses pledged support. Volunteers poured in. The mayor's office offered funding for expanded programming. "Your dinner inspired a movement," Michael said, showing me the donation totals. "People are calling it everyone's table. A place where no one gets uninvited." I smiled at the name. It was perfect. It stood for everything our so-called peaceful family holiday had failed to be. Honest, open, welcoming. Grandma Rose became a regular at the center. She told stories from her own community building days and taught the kids how to bake her famous pies. She brought in more old photos for our bulletin board, each one a reminder that the best family traditions aren't the ones that exclude, but the ones that welcome. Even my parents started volunteering. Quietly at first, then with growing heart. They never said the words "I'm sorry," but their actions spoke loud enough. Amanda stayed distant. The family dynamic had shifted. Her attempts to play victim didn't land anymore, not in the face of what she had actually done. The insurance money was being repaid, slowly but steadily. I doubted we'd ever be close again. But I wasn't bitter. Because I found something far better than a seat at Amanda's Thanksgiving table. Found my purpose. My voice. A new kind of family. One built not on silence and image, but on truth, compassion, and real peace. Yesterday we held our first planning meeting for next year's celebration. I watched Grandma Rose help the kids make paper turkeys, my parents organizing donation lists, and Michael talking with local business sponsors. And in that moment, I understood something deep in my bones. Sometimes, being uninvited from one table is how you end up building a better one. A table where everyone's welcome,